Hello and welcome to the 90s Mags podcast, the best place to be for all things Newcastle United, hosted by three lifelong Newcastle United fans. Myself, D-Man, joined by my two illustrious co-hosts, AC and Jefferson. How you doing, guys?
What's up? I'm good.
Yo,
I'm
that was a
good.
nice intro there.
Yeah, I thought I'd
Feeling very esteemed and honored.
yeah, man, give you like your flowers and that, big you up a little bit. Yeah, yeah,
The bouquet of flowers, the bouquet.
Respect.
that's it. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Catch our previous episodes. If you like this one, give it a like. Tell your friends about it. Spread the word. Just three brothers from South trying to rep Newcastle United from a different perspective. So,
Smash
but
the like button.
yeah, let me like it now, bro. It got me scared, bro. But anyway, right. So, boys, in true Newcastle United fashion, it's been a quiet week, shall we say, for Newcastle. Not been in the news much, to be honest.
Tumbleweed.
Bit boring, isn't it? Bit boring. Don't know even bother to join the podcast today. Nothing to talk about. Listen,
Boy.
it wouldn't be Newcastle if there weren't things to talk about. Yeah, we're always in the news. Um, I'm hoping one day it's going to be something quite positive, but for now, we're now the butt of everybody's jokes again. But but yeah, we've got to start with the huge elephant in the room. Those three illustrious letters, PSR. We found ourselves in a bit of a pickle over the last few days, meeting that PSR deadline. Uh, Came about that we were in trouble, in debt, PSR debt by about, well, rumored to be about at least 50 million. Um, so before we go ahead, let's talk about let's put some numbers out there just to set the scene and to paint the picture. So in mid-January this year, it was announced that the club had made a loss of £73.4 million after tax for the 22-23 financial year. However, figures show that the club had grown off the pitch. Turnover increased by 39% to 70.3 million, from 180 million to 250.3 million, while an operating loss of 26.4 million, which was transformed into a profit of 20.1 million. However, the financial results at the time did not include a projected revenue of approximately 37 million from involvement in Champions League last season, nor the income from the new sponsorship deals with Seller and Adidas, thought to be around 65 million pounds per year combined. That's 40 million for Adidas and 25 million for Seller. So we couldn't take that into account. And the crux of it is we were owing about at least 50 million pounds. So what do you guys make of the whole PSR situation, how we found ourselves in that predicament? I'll start with you, Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, you say those words PSR and it sends a chill. You're just like, oh man. Um, First of all, I think in terms of the Premier League setting the limit of 105 million minus 105 million pound as a deficit or overspend in terms of revenue and everything like that, is very outdated because it was set. I think was it 2010 or something like that. So it doesn't really take into account inflation. Um, on transfer fees, wages, all those kind of things. So it's not really moved in line. And that's really caught us out generally. It's not fit for purpose. And I think the first season, because obviously it's based on a 3-year cycle. So I think basically from a fan's perspective, everyone's thinking, well, hold on, for 14 years, Ashley didn't spend no money. How the hell are we in this position? I think the idea is it's based on a 3-year cycle. So when you look at it from that perspective, we knew that that first year that the takeover happened, we were going to take a hit because they needed to spend to close that gap to get us safe. So that was unprecedented in terms of what we spent. However, when you get into the second year, I think we need to equate that financial management. That look, we know that potentially, I don't know, in 18 months, the deadline's on the horizon. Again, you move into the start of last season, you think, right, 12 months, the deadline is on the horizon. So when you get to kind of the January window, and you're getting bids for the likes of Trippier, I think it was Bayern Munich offered 12 or 13 million. You had Callum Wilson, AC Milan, you know, we were offered like 18 million. A discussion has to be had where you think, right, we could claw money back from those sales, because we know those players didn't really play much a part in that run-in towards the end of the season. I feel that maybe the board haven't been proactive enough in terms of their sort of contingency planning, risk management, financial management. And it's ended up as pretty much a crisis where we've scrambled around, you know, we're literally, and we've portrayed ourselves as being desperate in public. You know,
Yeah.
people knew that we were desperately scrambling to meet that the PSR target. So really, when you look at, for example, the sale of Minteh, you know,
Which
we
we'll get
wanted
to. Yeah.
40 million. You know, we had
Mm.
to take 33, and people will say, hey, it's good business. We valued him at 40. We got less than what we valued him for because we were desperate. So people will say that the board, you know, they're new, they're prone to make mistakes, and it's a learning process we're building. I kind of get it to an extent. However, I think we'll come to this later on, but you just feel like, what are PIF thinking about this? Because, you know, in terms of their portfolio, they know how to run businesses. Do you know what I mean? You don't see this level of public embarrassment for them. You see the job that they're doing for golf, for boxing. They know how to make money.
Mm.
So we need more of a presence from them. And how much of a hand did they have in this? Is it purely sort of, you know, Amanda, my dad, the Rubens, you know, what's going on? And again, we'll touch on it later on. But the biggest thing for me, in my opinion, because I'm an emotional guy, is that the comms were off. So you talked about that sort of the financial position that we were in January, and
Mm.
technically publicly, with the exception of the presentation of, you know, the temporary shop that they opened, where they talked about the deals with New Era and things like that. The last public address from Darren Eales was that we may have to do player trades, and that a big player may be sold. So we then have anxiety leading into the summer window. And then you're seeing that when we're scrambling desperately, Gordon might be sold, Isak must be sold. So in between that time, I'm not saying you have to reveal your strategy. We need some kind of communication with fans to calm things down, lessen that stress and anxiety. And there wasn't really a presence from the board, in my opinion. So I felt it was a shambles.
Okay, AC, what do you reckon? What's your thoughts on the whole thing overall?
I have to say, it was a lot to take in. It was, you know what, usually as a Newcastle fan, you're usually around the excitement or the tension of what's going on is usually around transfers, right? Or for like transfer deadline day. Here we now, in this new era now, we almost got like a PSR deadline day. That's what it felt like. And, you know, not just us, but other clubs in the same situation. You know, we saw the likes of, I think it was like Villa and Chelsea doing deals amongst each other to help balance their books and all that, because everyone's trying to meet this mad deadline. And I do wonder, I have a theory around this, because we know that Bruno had the release clause of 100 mil. And I do wonder if the club, despite knowing that they want to keep Bruno, I wonder if they were almost not banking on it, but they thought maybe that someone would bite, potentially Man City, who would then break that clause and then get him released, etc. And potentially that one might just solve our PSR problems altogether. Because it definitely come across in terms of like the panic button was hit. We didn't know what was going on. Rumors left, right, and center. We didn't know what was going on. Obviously, I think as a club, as fans, we would like to see Minteh stay. And then quite quickly, we realized actually that's probably going to be the best thing to do. Even though we felt like he hadn't yet had an opportunity to wear a Newcastle shirt and such. But in the mix as well, Gordon almost, like I say, get thrown under the bus in this, like saying that he might have to go to
touch on that as
Liverpool.
well. Yep.
But it was really, really messy, really, really messy and very chaotic. And as you can imagine, on social media, especially Twitter, on X, it was just the wild, wild west. I felt like any account could say what they want. It was getting that like, it was getting that view. You didn't know who to believe. It was all over the place. And I think some of the ones where I was getting really concerned, I think when Isak was started, the notion about Chelsea was after him, and I was like, in my head, I was like, don't you dare. If you sell Isak, right, there's gonna be I feel like the fan base would erupt. I honestly would think that. Honestly, I think people might turn up at St. James's Park with pitchforks in hand, right?
I'll
And
be
burn
front
it.
line, bro. I'll be front line.
They'll be there with pitchforks and torches, right? Because it just wouldn't be on at all. And we're going to get into a bit more details because we realized in the end Anderson was that. But then there was more rumors that like, oh no, that's not enough. It's just like, what do you mean it's not enough? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean it's not enough? Like, and then there was rumors as well, that speculation is that actually we had a sponsorship deal was meant to go through, but the Premiership refused it. And I don't know how true that is, but then there's just like,
I think it was meant to be 2 deals.
2 deals got refused. So it's then like, were they banking on that? And then the Premier League was just then almost just blocking the deal.
Us. The Premier League hate us anyway, so it's not surprising if that's the truth. It's not surprising. But what? Yeah, go on, say.
Nah, go ahead.
And what I was going to say is, I'm going to start with giving him a bit of a blight. But you mentioned obviously Mike Ashley, right? So Mike Ashley, we would, the good thing about it that he never left us with any debt, right? Which is good. But with Mike Ashley, the problem that he left us in is that he never did hardly any commercial deals with us, so we were hardly generating any revenue outside off the pitch, basically. Yeah, so we couldn't rely on that to contribute towards PSR. Also, the fact that he didn't buy any players really means that he left us with no sellable assets, right? So we couldn't sell any players for love nor money, right? They're on high wages, but they were worth maybe a couple mil. The likes of Jeff Henderson and them kind of people there. Like it left us hamstrung. So immediately we're starting on the back foot. However, the rules of PSR. Our board come in and they knew the rules of PSR, and they knew that the time would come when they would have to generate enough money, to satisfy those regulations. And like you said, it's embarrassing that we basically have to scramble around at the last minute to meet this deadline. Otherwise, we would have faced what people talking like a 10-point deduction, right? Now, that is insane for a club that wants to be seen as a growing club and eventually a big club. That's not how you operate. You expect the likes of like, I don't know, Burnley or Sheffield United to be operating like that. Newcastle can't be. If we're going to be taken seriously, we can't be operating like that. And like you said, we had the opportunity in January to get rid of a couple of the players, namely Trippier, Almiron, and Wilson. And we had offers for all 3, and not one of them materialized, right? So then you mentioned again, then you made a good point about the Bruno release clause. Then they probably thought that someone would, especially at the Man Cities or PSG or even Real Madrid, would meet that clause, and we'd reluctantly sell him, and that would be the end of that. Now, when that didn't happen, we then start thinking, well, okay, the plan B. Now, we obviously wanted to sell the Wilsons, the Trippier, and Almond again, but the chances are they're going to go to Saudi, and the Saudi market doesn't open until after the PSR deadline. So that's left us. Yeah. And then there was rumors that we're looking at the Longstaffs and I think someone else, I can't remember who it was, but Longstaff ain't leaving. He's not leaving for now anyway, right? He'd be reluctant to leave. So then that's when the rumors about the Gordons and the Isaks come about, because we thinking, hold on a minute, if we can't, because remember, we tried to sell Minteh, but we had the offer from Leon and he didn't want to join them, right? And the deal with Everton collapsed basically. So it's just like, I think we panicked and we thought, okay, Liverpool came in a couple of weeks ago. Let's see what they say now, just in case. And then it's got out now, and it's basically a shambles now, because it looks like we're trying to shop Gordon We don't know what that's going to do to his state of mind, thinking because Liverpool's his boyhood club, which we'll get to anyway. The Chelsea rumours with Isak, like there was no one really shutting it down. So it's like you start to wonder, hold a minute, are we going back to the days of these selling our stars
Selling
and
club.
starting again?
Mhm.
And the fact it was all played out in the press was embarrassing. And it's like we were going back to the banter days when Newcastle, we were an embarrassment. We were a laughing stock of everybody. We looked like we were a club in going nowhere
Turmoil.
fast, in turmoil. That's it. So you don't want that perception anyway. And yeah, like I said, the whole thing and the whole Minteh situation, right? Because there's rumors that we told him if you don't go, you're gonna rock with the reserves. Brother, this brother, he's done nothing wrong. He's done nothing wrong, but it's our fault that we're in that predicament. And again, so we sell him, we get the agreement, and think, okay, that's it now. Then we're like, nope, need some more, right? And we go to Anderson.
Hold on, D man. You see what you just said there?
Yeah,
The problem I've got, why aren't we doing that to Miggy?
this is
We could have
and
done
this
that
is
to
it,
Miggy with the sale to Al
Well,
Shabab.
right? Yeah. So why is it?
Why we
What? Who's responsible for not taking that approach with Miggy? Is it Eddie Howe? Like, are we too nice? Like,
Mm.
because he's played for us, because what he's done for us in the past and that, which we'll get to anyway. But like I said, we're picking and choosing, and we're picking and choosing on picking on the wrong people. But yeah, man, the whole thing. Even I can't imagine how the board must feel, because as a fan, sitting back and watching that play out for the last 3 days was exhausting. It was draining, and now it's left a sour taste in the fans' mouth where there's no, we've got nothing. It feels like we've got nothing to look forward to now. Every time Newcastle pops up in the news, you're going to think, what is it now? Who we trying to sell? Who we trying to sell now?
Mm.
Like it's deflating. And 12 months ago, it was a completely different story. We were all on a high. We're champions, qualified for Champions League. Look, Tonali had signed. We're looking forward to the new season and stuff like that. Complete 180 in the space of 12 months. It's like, do the board know what they're doing? And that's the worrying thing.
Yeah.
And to get more into we'll move on to how we did manage to get out of this PSR situation. Obviously, we know that we sold Minteh and Anderson. So Minteh's gone to Brighton. So we'll start with him, right? £33 million. Now, again, this has divided the fan base, because some people are saying we would like to see him get a chance, given his form in Holland. Like to see him get a chance with us. Some people say, listen, what is it? A £26 million profit, wherever it is. You can't sniff at that for someone who's never kicked a ball for us. Some people say we'd rather him not join another Premier League club. What's your thoughts on that particular sell, AC?
Honestly, I think this one might hurt us in the long run. I think, first of all, he's gone to Brighton, and I think he's going to thrive at Brighton, number one. Brighton club and the fan base over there are really happy with his signing. And it's really unfortunate that he's just been caught in his crossfire. He's just almost just been like, right, you got to go, like, chuck him across the other side. And selling to another Premier League club shows also that we were quite desperate. And then I think that's the key word here, is desperate. Because these other clubs are not silly. They're seeing the situation. Chelsea saw the situation with Isak and was like, we look desperate. Right, we're going to approach you for Isak because you need the money, kind of thing. And I really get that impression. And I feel like 33 mil, it's a bargain. I think people are not familiar with his game. He had such a great season at Feyenoord. And, it's such a shame we never got to see him prospect and shine. And I think, once again, we're really lacking in the assets of who we want to sell for good profit, let's say. But I think also we're looking at the Mike Ashley era that he didn't set up so well, but I even look into this new era, because we're going to get into some recent signings, right? That I'm telling you now have zero value. Zero. Right? So later down the line, if it's not Eddie Howe at the helm or whoever it is, right? 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 We're almost going to be in the same situation again, where it's just like, we got to meet that PSR deadline in 3 years, and all these XX goalkeepers. We buy like 2 goalkeepers for what? I don't even know.
We've got
Right.
5 currently on our books, bro. 5.
Shambles, man. Absolutely shambles.
We need a DOF ASAP. The joke thing out here.
Oh man, I have to laugh, otherwise, man, I cry. You know.
But Jefferson, what's your thoughts on the Minteh sale anyway?
It's sad. It's very sad. People saying, great business. Yeah, okay, fine. It's good money, right? He's come from Danish league. No one expected him to be as good as he was. And if this had been last season, wow, I would have been doing cartwheels, right? The reason I'm upset is he's had a really good season in the Eredivisie, and he's won the Dutch Cup as well. And to add to that, he's got experience in the Europa League and the Champions League. He would have added to the squad. He's better than Murphy and he's better than Miggy. So we've lost talent there. And we've talked about him having a high ceiling. It's going to hurt us on the basis that technically, I know Brighton were a bit off it last season, but they'll be there and thereabouts. They're arguably our rivals in terms of trying to break into top 6. When you're looking around that area. So we've then strengthened them. Can you imagine? They've got Minteh on one side, Mitoma on the other, João Pedro through the middle. That attacks, it rivals ours. Do you know what I mean?
Baffle our defense, bro.
So when we come up against them, he could bad us up. That's very possible. Don't get me wrong. Look, if he goes on to have a couple of poor seasons, we'll be looking at this like, okay, we came out the winners. But right now, I think it still hurts us more, even on the basis we didn't get what we valued for the player, which was 40 million. Because like what AC was saying, we look desperate out there. But it's just frustrating that we've been waiting for real up and coming talent to come through the club. We know that our academy isn't the best. I know they're trying to improve it. So having like a young, really talented player coming through that could have potentially improved our team, and then not even getting to see him kick a ball, for me is disappointing. So yeah, I'm upset. I'm a little bit upset by it. But look, the thing for me as well is there's no reports of any sort of sell-on clause or anything like that. I know the buyback was refused, fair enough, but there should be a sell-on. And I don't think there is one.
I don't think there is.
We've bumped ourselves.
And that's where we need a director of football, because like, look at what Chelsea do, right? Even City, yeah, they'll sell on clauses or the buyback clauses for all their players that they said, the young up and coming talents and stuff like that. And I think we've got a lot to learn in that respect. And once we do get a director of football, I think that will change. Personally, I am disappointed that we've sold him without seeing what he could do for us, because like you said, he could be a good problem solver in some capacity for our right wing problems. I'm not saying he's the answer, but if we went out and got another one, a more established one, and have him as well, then Almiron will definitely kick rocks, and Murphy would be our third option, right? So he what he did in Holland. You're telling me he couldn't take the chance to see what he could do for us over, even in pre-season, right? And judge him, give him a little run out, see how he gels with the team and stuff. But at the same time, the fact that he's unproven for us and we've made a profit, because remember, we paid 7 million for him. So a profit's a profit at the end of the day, right? My only issue is sell him to I'd say a direct rival, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what's going to happen when he comes to St. James's Park, he's going to turn into prime Chris Wood and score a hat trick, right? You know what I mean? And God forbid what he's going to do at the Amex, because we performed terribly at the Amex over the last couple of seasons. Yeah, we got slapped last season, even before we got lucky to get a 0-0. He'll be up for it. If he's playing, he will be up for it to prove a point. Now, who knows? He could go on. You know what Brighton do? They develop their stars and sell them off for astronomical figures. So that's what they could do there, and we'll be looking at like, we really messed up.
Yeah, I also got an added theory to this, that I think Minteh was a Dan Ashworth piece of magic. That's just what Ashworth is good at, of seeking those youth players and such. And I got a feeling that Eddie Howe and co, there's bad blood in it. They just took it personally, was like, no, we're not a player. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And be like, I want players that I want, that I pick in as such.
So
There's
who bought Garan Corral? Whose purchase was that?
It's hard to say.
Yeah,
I'm not
because he's still
sure.
there, and
I think it's
he's
Nixon, isn't it?
he's struggling, isn't it? He's struggling, but be interested to see what happens with him as well. But listen, Minteh wasn't the only one that was sold on the PSR deadline. Elliot Anderson, right now, came through the academy, so the sale goes down as pure profit. What was it 35 million, right? Now, I believe, listen, this may sound, a lot of people may disagree with me, but I'm not too bothered about this one, right? Simply because he would have probably been fifth or sixth choice in the midfield area, right? Because we've got Bruno, Tonali, Joe Linton, Willock, and even Longstaff, right? And then Miley, who's now injured, but Miley, right? So I think he would have been down at pecking order in that respect. And his favorite position on the left of the forward line, you've got Gordon, you've got Barnes, and even Joe Linton, right? Can play there as well. Sometimes even Willock, yeah. So I believe he would be again down in the pecking order in that respect. Now, listen, I know they nicknamed him the Geordie Maradona and all them things there, yeah. But when you think about it, well, when I think about it, he hasn't scored a goal for us, right? He's created very little, right? And I can't think of anything that he does exceptionally well. Not a bad player, but to me, he's not worth 35 million. He's not. We bought Bruno for 38, right? So he's not worth 35 million, right? So to get 35 million for him, I know Forest have helped us up and whatnot. But to get 35 million for him, I think we've done very well here. And I don't get wrong, he could go to Forest and really he could bat it up, yeah, and he could be one of their best players. But that doesn't change the fact that he wouldn't get into our starting lineup on a good day. So I will say, we'll touch on it later, but it was funny to me that when that deal got done and the reports were another Forest player.
You're setting me off, bro. Allow it.
Another Forest player was coming the opposite direction. Everyone's like, rah, Morgan Gibbs White, even Alanga, Murillo.
Bum, bum, bum.
Odysseas.
Bum, bum, bum.
This front
Troy,
in
innit?
game
From
ahead of
Troy.
Matt Sales, bro. Listen, he was really.
And
He
all
gave
them
us
happy
this
clappers
scrap.
begging it, going, "Oh yeah, 4 years ago he was Benfica's number one, innit? He was playing Champions League football, innit? We were gonna pay 50 million for him." That was 4 years ago. That's
In
why
fact,
he's third choice at Forest.
third choice at Forest to a fighting relegation. But we'll get to it. But yeah, my point was we've got to play in the opposite direction. But I personally believe that was a good deal that we've done for Elliot Anderson. I don't know what you think, Jefferson.
Yeah, again, no sell-on clause, so that's the frustration for me. But I think overall it's good business because right now he's not worth 35 million. I do think he does have potential there. He's got a lot of physical attributes. He was starting to fill out, and he had some big performances towards the end of the season when he did play Spurs. I
He
think the
helped us, man.
Spurs
He
game
helped
stuck
us.
out, and he got an assist against Brighton, I think it was.
Yep.
But I also saw him at Palace live and direct, brother, and he was awful, bro. On that left-hand side of the attack, he was shocking. Yeah, and even in midfield, he was shocking. I don't know one game, but yeah, like
It's
not
with
good.
sometimes with young players, they need consistency, they need more games. And we saw what he was capable of in that preseason tournament in America. And he
True.
was
did
good,
come
yeah.
back from an injury because I think, was it a spinal injury? I think he fractured his back or something. It was a similar injury to what Dan Burn had, but worse. I think, if I'm correct, because he was out for like 4 months as
He was out for a
well.
while. Yeah.
So again, it's going to take a while to get up to speed. And I feel obviously we didn't see the best of Anderson. I think he only would have got better. But like you say, can we guarantee him first team football? Obviously not. The fact he is one of our own, again, it's always sad to see. And we're starting to understand more. So, for example, when we signed Tino and Lewis Hall, for example, particularly Lewis Hall, Chelsea were upset because it's like, oh, we shouldn't be selling one of our own. So I kind of get that. There's a bit more sentiment with it, but wish him well, because he will get he should be starting for Forest at the end of the day. I do have a bit of a theory though. I do actually think that Morgan Gibbs White will come, particularly with that Odysseas signing. It's a bit dodgy for me because he is crap, yeah? So I think it's a case of, look, we'll help you lot with PSR by paying over the odds. Because remember, they paid over the odds for Chris Wood as well, right? And don't get me wrong, I know Chris Wood, I think he got 14 or 15 Premier League goals. So he's proven himself. But at the time, come on, it was like, wow, we got 15 million. And I think they got Shelby as well, right? So it's not the first time they've helped us. I think we've done them a solid by taking the keeper off their hands, because that helps them with PSR as well. They've given us an inflated fee slightly, because I think it's 25 million. It should have been, in my opinion, would be fair. And I think what will happen is we've probably promised them we'll pay a little bit extra for Gibbs White, in the region of sort of £50 million, to help them out on the next round. I can see that happening.
You reckon Gibbs White's going to be 50 mil?
Listen, well, you think about it. Forest bought him for 40, so they're gonna want more than they paid for. So 50 would be doing us. Won't be too bad, bro. I'm not saying he's worth 50.
One more note about Anderson. Actually, I actually think, unfortunately, he suffered playing under Eddie Howe. He has suffered, because I could see a little bit when he got a few cameos under Bruce. He's better as a 10. I think he's got the potential to play as a 10, and we don't play with a 10. I think that's also a problem. Obviously, if we stuck around and we had another manager that played a different system, we might have actually been able to even accommodate him a lot more. But it's not going to work under Howe's current 4-3-3 formation. So yeah,
good old 4-3-3.
Why we didn't sign Madison? But yeah, AC, like, what's your thoughts on the Anderson sale?
So first of all, I do think, on the board's behalf and the club's behalf, silly to sell him on with no percentage sell on clause or nothing like that. I think it was a bit silly to do that. It's a homegrown player. We should have. I think it's because I do think he's going to do well at Forest, and I think he will even move on from Forest down the line as well. He's got some potential in him. It's a shame. I think the previous season he just didn't get enough game time. Like you said, he was out for like 4 months. We had that situation where our players were dropping like flies, and he was one of them. So I feel like he hasn't just like had the best previous season, but I do go back off that preseason that he had, and he was looking good. We were like, hold on, man, we got this extra guy right here. But I do think with our youth system as well, and our youth players, we also got players like Miley and such. And if you look at Miley and him, obviously now Miley's a bit more younger than him, but I think it was the right choice to sell Anderson, because I think there were speculation and weird rumors that we might offload Miley, I did see. And I was just like, no, do not do that. Do not do that. Because that is a guy who's going to thrive under us. And I think he'll be a potential future captain for the club in the future if all goes well. But
he's just fractured his toe, by the way, injured for 12 weeks.
12 weeks, man. Yeah.
Players getting injured. It's not even in season, but here we go.
Yeah, that's it. But listen, we wish him well. And it was it's been, the club and Eddie Howe didn't want to lose him, but needs must, and that shows you everything that's wrong with PSR when you have to sell your academy players, especially your promising ones. It's not nice. So the rules need revisiting. Whether or not they will, don't know. But like we alluded to, we have made some signings, and we obviously the Lewis Hall is permanent now. He's permanently signed for 28 million. But yeah, we've got a couple of goalkeepers. So we've touched on the let's call him OV. OV ho. But anyway, yeah, we touched on him. I'm not gonna pronounce his name. I know Jefferson can do that for us, but he's 30 years old, and the rumors is that he's coming in to challenge Nick Pope. So he's going to be our number 2. So it looks like that a lot of people are speculating the Trafford deal is dead. And some people are saying that we could still sell Pope. Ipswich need a new keeper, and Pope is an Ipswich fan. So they're putting 2 and 2 together that we may still go for Mamadashvili. But there's rumours that Ipswich are now looking at Dubravka. But Celtic are favourites for him. But this guy, he reckons he's about it. He's saying he's coming for that number 1 spot. So quick thoughts on old Ovi.
Now, I don't know much about this keeper at all. I know he's going to try challenge for Pope, but I don't know, man. This just doesn't. I have no, and I'm not to be harsh on this, and it's almost just like it is what it is. But I feel zero excitement about this move here. This purely feels like a move done on the basis of PSR deals with Forest, in my opinion. I don't understand this at all. And also, you say like challenging Pope for the place, but Eddie Howe don't rotate players, man. Eddie Howe don't rotate keepers. Pope's going to play every game under the sun. So,
but listen, Pope's coming off a dislocated shoulder, and that's the second time he's dislocated apparently. So he's had 2 big injuries now. So it could happen again.
Broken his fingers or his hand as well.
All of that, yeah. So this guy could be biding his time, and he could be that guy for us.
But I have to say though, like let's hope, and he does have a good performance for us, and let's hope as well that once again, no disrespect, it is what it is. But let's hope he's better than Dubravka as well, because let's face it, when Pope was injured in our season, we have to admit we've dropped so many points because of Dubravka. We have to say it out loud. It is what it is. And when Pope did come back for like the last game or 2 games, you almost saw a sudden like shift in confidence in the back 4 again.
The last game, yeah.
Yeah, the last game. It was the last game. So I feel like, let's see. Apparently, he could be good with his feet as well. But once again, I've not seen any evidence. I'm only just hearing by like rumors from here and there.
He ain't got much to go on, bro. Especially last season, bro. He lost his position to Matt Sells and the other guy, bro.
Matt Turner,
bro.
So
Arsenal reject.
I don't know how. It's a weird one. I'm trying to look at this positively. I'm trying to keep the thumbs up. But
maybe Jefferson could add some positive vibes to it. I don't know.
Go on, Jefferson.
I mean, look, he's 30 years old, so I just don't get it. You would look to sign a younger keeper, and he only played 5 games.
He's younger than the other keeper.
Yeah, true. He only played 5 games. That's a positive. Yeah, he's younger than the other keeper. He only played 5 games for Forest, and he conceded 12 goals in those 5 games. So that's an average of 2.4 per game.
Brother, we were saying Trafford the other day, bro. This guy's even worse.
I don't know what's going on, but our keeper scouting is off. Like, that's what I'm saying. I feel like we've done Forest a solid getting this guy in.
Brother.
We've done Forest a solid. So I can't. I mean, obviously, look, he's got Champions League experience. How many years ago? So that's a positive. Do you know what I mean?
So from one positive to the next, what the other guy that he's
Sorry, watchers. We're a banter club at the moment, man. Set us off these signings. Set us off.
I won't lie to you. I've got tears in my eyes. This is too funny.
When we was linked to this guy, bro.
The show must go on. The show must go on.
40 years old, isn't he? I could be wrong, right?
I think he's 39. I think he's 39.
He's 39.
No. He's actually 37. 37.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We're putting years on him, but he looks about 40. But anyway, John Ruddy, yeah, signed from, where did he get released from, or where did he get it from?
Birmingham.
Birmingham.
Got relegated, didn't he, to League One?
Bro, let's go. Let's call a spade in it. He's rubbish. He's absolute trash. He cannot play a single game for us. But the worrying thing is, if Nick Pope gets injured and Ovi becomes the first choice keeper, when we play cup games, yeah, and Eddie rotates, this brother could be lining up. Brother, what is he?
What about Gillespie, man? I don't understand. Like, what's Gillespie meant to be doing?
If I'm Gillespie, I'm offended. I am offended. You brought this guy in above me. Like, apparently he's coming in for like, the Scott Carson role for Man City, in it, like
Okay.
good times and a bit of training, right? But if you're rubbish, who are you training, bruv? Who are you training? Who's gonna take training tips from you, bruv? What have you got to, bruv? I remember him from Norwich, yeah, and Norwich got
Yeah, that's what I
relegated.
remember him for. That's what I remember him from as well. Yeah.
All this brother knows is relegation. So someone needs explaining. Eddie Howe needs to come out and explain what the hell we're playing at, bro. Because again,
League
we
One
are
goalkeeper.
we're becoming a banter club again. Like, but listen, as long as he doesn't touch grass for us, bro, yeah. If I see this brother in the starting lineup, I'm gonna lose it, bro. I'm going to lose it. John Ruddy. But anyway,
Kind of
let's
feel dark, but
yeah, but let's hope.
it's
Listen,
embarrassing.
he seems happy. Like he knows he's gonna get very, very, very limited game time, hopefully. But he's here to do some sort of a job, so we just got to trust the club to see that they know what they're doing. But begs the question, who have we helped out here? Because boy, that seems to be handing out favors now. So I don't know. But
It's such a weird sign, and it made me felt like, is there money laundering behind us or something? Because it makes no sense, man. It makes no sense. Like, seriously, I did read that like he's been doing like coaching and stuff, and I was like, but it still doesn't make sense.
Just hire him as a goalkeeping coach. Do you know what I'm saying?
I need someone from the club to come out and explain to me. Explain it to me. What's this worth? And then don't get me wrong. Apparently, it was a free transfer as well, right? So
he's still got to get paid, bruv.
He's going to get 10 bags a week. He's going to get 10 bags a week, surely.
Yeah. So, and I did watch the little welcome video of him and stuff, and you see that
you are good.
He looks he looks so happy to be joining Newcastle, and I'm like, yeah, of course, man. Like you left Birmingham City, who just got relegated.
You've lucked out,
bro.
You're now hitting the Premiership to a team who are potentially looking for a Champions League qualification this year. But I don't know. The only way this can really be forgiven, let's say, of this move here, and would be the ace move of Pope moves on, and we're gonna get Georgia's keeper. That's the only way I see these recent maneuvers of these keepers coming in, if we actually got the vision of Pope to be sold. Now, I think we talked about this last episode of the right time to sell players and the right time to approach players. I actually do think Pope's stock is quite good right now, and I think this summer would be the best time to do it. So once again, I feel like the club should have some edge to this and be like, actually, we do want a Georgia keeper because, you mentioned this before last time, Jefferson, about starting from the back. It's like when you start with your solid choice of your keeper, and you then continue to like make those intense signings from the back for the defenders and such, you start really producing like a good quality starting 11. And I don't want to see Pope leave. Pope's a great keeper. I still a big fan of Nick Pope. He's been great for us, and it's a shame he had that injury this season. But don't be afraid to sell Pope at the same time.
All right, so obviously we talk about those who have come into the club. We did touch on it earlier, but the whole Anthony Gordon situation. What did you guys make of it? Do you think that there was any real danger of us losing him, or do you think there's still danger of us losing him, especially to Liverpool, who are his boyhood club? And God forbid, but if the worst was to happen, how much do you think we could get for him? So I'll start with you, AC.
There's a load of questions here. It's a load of questions. So, Andy Gordon, man, it's a weird one, because when the rumor was going around, and I was thinking, oh man, I know this guy. It's his boyhood club. If it's almost like going to be hard to pull him away from that notion. So I was like, in my head, I was thinking, I don't want this to happen, but if it hit the fan, if we get 70 mil for him, I take it. 70 mil will be good. And he's another player at the moment. He has a lot of good stock. But at the same time, I feel like he's got a lot to do at the club still. I think he wants to, he wants to carve his name in history with the club as well. He's one of those players that's sticking around for the project and believes in it. And once again, he's another player as well he's thrived quite well under Howe. I think we all say that Howe's, his quality is bringing the best out of players. But part of me just thinks this story around Gordon and Liverpool, I don't think it will happen. I think Newcastle are going to offer, we're going to want too much money for him, basically. I don't think Liverpool won't meet it. But also, we can't stop the noise from Twitter, because those in the know accounts are saying what they're like. At the moment, they keep posting saying that Gordon's his head's turned. Like, all now, he's in the Euros at the moment. Wow, I say he's in the Euros. He's on the bench at the Euros, but that's another story.
Jefferson?
Yeah, he's on the bench, so he's certainly got time to think about his moves, isn't he?
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that.
You know what? When you've got sort of fine bone china in the cupboards, the old ones that you bring out only for the best occasions. That's when you're looking at the likes of sort of, your Gordons, your Isaks, your Brunos. So arguably they should be untouchable, really, unless you get a ludicrous or astronomical offer coming in. I don't even think 70 million is enough based on sort of modern inflation of a player of the acumen of Anthony Gordon and what he can offer you. I think from what we saw in the interviews with Neville, he struck me as very mature, someone with a lot of integrity and principles, and conducts himself very well on and off the pitch. So us making sly moves, not going to go down well with him. Not going to go down well. I do think there's something legit there. At least you'll have some kind of angst or unsettlement for sure. I'd be pissed. Do you know what I mean? But I think for him, in what he's described, it was a whole process, mentally and otherwise, for him to move outside his ends. I don't think he'd want to go back home. I think that's the stumbling block there. I think Liverpool may put a bid in. They'll test the waters, of course, but I can't see us accepting, at least this season. So I think the boy will be unsettled and he'll be pretty pissed, but he's a consummate professional, and I think once the Euros and all that's done, he'll be ready to crack on. I think he'll look individually about how he can have an even better season and obviously be a starting player for England. And I have no doubt he'll be focused on improving his numbers, which were very, very impressive in the past season. And he knows he can do that at Newcastle. But like I say, I think a bid may come, but it depends. I think the biggest thing is on Liverpool shifting Luis Diaz. If they sell Luis Diaz, that's where we have to worry a little bit. But until that happens, I think he'll stay put.
Yeah, I think there's a few moving parts. You mentioned Diaz. Liverpool would need to sell him first. They've also got Cody Gakpo, who's shown what he can do from that side as well. And I think he's got something to prove there. And Gordon would look at that. I think am I gonna go there and be a starter? I know he backed himself, but I personally believe that in his mind he'll think he needs another season with us at least, because he's had one great season with us, and I think he'll see he can develop even further under Eddie Howe and with Newcastle, and when he's ready to be the established elite winger or forward player, he will then go to Liverpool or a team like that when he's ready to, constantly be in the Champions League and be that guy, be the main focal point of that team. Right now, he's an important piece for our puzzle, but not the most important. But from our perspective, I think we have to do everything we can to keep him at the moment. There's rumours that we're going to offer him a new contract. I think Eddie Howe will have to sit down with him when he comes back from the Euros to assure him that, listen, it was a fleeting idea to sell it. Liverpool inquired and we rejected it. Yeah, we're going to have to paint that picture. Don't believe what was said and that. But let's be honest, those interviews showed he is a very ambitious guy. So if we can't match his ambitions, same with the Brunos, the Isaks, whatever, then he will look elsewhere to fulfill that. I will say, I speak to my best friend and that also the Newcastle fan, and he was saying, look, what Anthony Gordon's had a great season, but what he's done for us can be replaced quite easily, right? What the likes of what Isak does cannot, right? So, most fans would say don't want to lose Gordon, but if you get a great offer for him and it meant keeping Isak, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, because you've also got Harvey Barnes, who, could have a standout season next season. And, Gordon might be, vying for his position with Barnes. We don't know. But I agree, unless we get a very, very, very attractive bid for him, don't go anywhere. I mean, at the moment, the likes of Bruno, Botman when he's back, and Isak, and then Gordon are our pillars of our team moving forward. So,
D-Man, I just want to come back to you on that. Just that perspective of that, what Gordon's contributed is replaceable.
well, you think about it, all right. Listen, he had impressive numbers but remember, a lot of it was at St James's Park. He away from home, his numbers were nowhere near what they were at home, right? I'm not saying easy replaced, but it can be replaced a lot easier than what Isak does, what Isak brings to the team. Yeah, I think in terms of because wide left side of forwards on the wing are not as much as a premium as strikers at the moment, elite strikers.
Interesting.
Yeah, I genuinely believe that.
Unless you're Nico Williams.
The problem, yeah, because I think the issue with football is today everyone's playing arguably the same formation, and you're having forwards that are adaptable across the front line, and managers are expecting their wingers to have a high output. What Isak offers is something rare, that you've got a striker that gives you 20 plus goals. We know that people that put the ball in the onion bag, the best stars in the game. But I think when you look at Gordon, 10 plus goals and assists, that's a rare thing as well.
It's a rare thing.
We've literally spoken about the loss of Minteh. We've been trying to find, for example, a right winger for so long. Almiron, 4 goals. Murphy,
Don't get me
3
started on that,
goals.
brother. Yeah.
Barnes, I know he was injured for 4 months, but 5 goals.
But
Gordon,
do you not think? But do you not think that Harvey Barnes, with a fit Harvey Barnes, with a run in the team, is capable of maybe not matching it, but coming close to those kind of figures over a course of a season?
No, I think
No?
maybe goals, but not assists. So people got to understand it's the goals and the assists.
Yeah.
So for example, Isak has got, I think it was 25 goals in all comps, right?
Yeah.
I think he only got 1 assist. He's not an assister. He's not that
Yeah.
kind of player. But Gordon, you got to look at the combined goal contributions.
Yeah.
I think he got like 12 goals and 11 assists. So although he's not getting the same amount of goals, the goal contributions is equal pretty much. You've got one that's provided 25 and one that's provided 24. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's what I was talking about, why we need the right winger, because Gordon and Isak have carried the burden. If you look at, again, Liverpool, for an example, historically, they had Salah would get 25 goals, Mane would get 25 goals, Firmino would get 15 goals. It was kind of spread out. I really feel like Gordon and Isak carried that burden, We
Carry
need
the
someone
team.
on that right side that's going to
Oh,
chip in
100%.
with 10,
We need someone
12
on the right.
goals.
Yeah, 100%.
So so you got to look at the just for a bit of context, I guess. Looking at that combined goal contributions is what makes him so invaluable to us.
Yeah.
Do you think? Sorry, go on, Nancy, go on.
No, just to add to that as well, that looking at the previous season, Gordon saved our skin so many times. You have to acknowledge it. But yeah,
And
continue.
the defensive work as well. The running backwards.
No, that is invaluable. I will say. I just think I don't know if he will have. I mean, listen, he's still young. He's improving. He might even improve next season with his numbers. I just think overall, I'd rather lose him than Isak. I think you're not getting another Isak at all. You might not get another Gordon, but you're more likely than an Isak. I just at this present time, I can't think of who we could bring in who'd get the number of goals and what he brings to the team overall. I'm not so sure. But I hope we don't lose any of them.
The only left winger I can see right now then in the world right now who could replace Gordon, which I know it's not going to happen, but let's say we sold Gordon and we got Nico Williams in. We're cooking on gas, right? So, opportunities are out there, but yeah, just to end it, I think Gordon will stay. And you're right, D-Man. One more season out of him, maybe. It's going to be really interesting, but it all leads down the road of how we end this season coming up.
Right.
Nothing less. We need that Europe qualifications, right?
Yeah.
And preferably Champions League.
And it starts from the top as well. So with the board now, like, what's your thoughts on, the Manders, the Mirdad, the Rubens, but also PIF? Like, what do you think's happening at the top? My man in the picture here, like, been very quiet. We saw him on the documentary at the beginning of the season about his ambitions.
Been number one.
Are PIF starting to have second doubts about the board or even the investment in Newcastle? Because some people think, they might have want this have enough and say, you know what, enough's enough. We're not getting, every stumbling block that we're having with the Premier League and stuff. And it doesn't look like the shambles that happened with PSR. Is there a danger of them selling up and leaving, kicking rocks? What do you reckon?
It's a tough one because I think there's things in the pipeline that will give us a good nod towards what is the ambition and what is going on. Like, first of all, the stadium. There's been back and forth about, are we getting a stadium extension with St. James's Park? Are we going to get a brand new stadium? I think the latest has been the latter. So we're potentially going to be getting a new stadium. But at the same time, that's all gone quiet. Once again, communications, it's gone quiet. I know they've been doing all the surveys with everybody who's a member with the club and trying to understand, like, what would you like to see? What would you like to have, etc. But since the surveys and stuff, it's all gone quiet. We know at the moment PIF are interested in looking into Monaco as another club of purchasing. So that's going to be interesting to see how that develops. I do wonder, it's a weird one because you're right. They are a bit quiet behind the scenes. And I do wonder if this theory, of like, they might be silent behind the scenes, but at the same time, when it's time to pull triggers, they might pull them, right? Because let's say this theoretically. Let's just say it doesn't go well next season at all, and it's quite bad. Let's say, I won't say how bad it would be, but let's say it doesn't go well. Amanda and Co could just suddenly lose their positions. They could end up get buyout or something like that. But I know they've got a shareholder in the Newcastle club and such. But all of a sudden, you see new people coming in because I do look at it like Amanda and Co. They look at Eddie Howe as that's their choice of person to be managing and coaching the team. And I do wonder if PIF had their way, would they bring someone else in? Would they do this and that? It's a really interesting one, but I do feel like the whole situation with the stadium, if that develops at all, or we get any incline of like what's going on with the stadium plans this summer within the transfer window situation, that tells us a lot. If we find out there's no stadium getting built, there's no extension, I think we have to start being worried that PIF could be pulling out completely, because it shows that they're not going to build a stadium, they're not going to invest in such. But at the same time, though, not to worry people too much, I have heard that with the new stadium, they also looking at like not just investment for Newcastle club, but investment into Newcastle, the city. They want to provide more jobs. They want to provide more things local for the people. And you imagine with a stadium attached to that could be hotels, etc. It's a massive project. It could shape the future of Newcastle more than ever. So there's a lot at stake there.
Jefferson, what's your thoughts on PIF?
I mean, that's all well and good, but we need comms. We need comms. We need some official shit. Do you know what I mean? Because right now we're not hearing anything. It's radio silence, And for better or for worse, people jibe at City, but their royal family. I see my man on Sky News quite a bit actually. So His Excellency, we need a bit more presence, because it feels like Mandy and her mob are running things right now. But it needs to be a bit more of a coalition, albeit publicly as well. Because like I say, I think some of the decisions have been questionable, and from the way we've seen PIF have conducted themselves, it doesn't feel like the way they would do business. This Monaco interest, I do wonder if they're seeing, for example, PSG, in Liga, that you don't have the political blockages that we've been experiencing in the Premier League. So it could be a clean break for them. I mean, at the moment, it's like an attempt to broaden our portfolio that will help us in the same way Girona has helped out Man City, for example. But it could work out to be a clean break. I mean, it doesn't bear thinking about. I guess the worst possible thing could be they choose to sell their shares, but I guess our value has gone up by at least 100 or so million. That would be the only positive. But I think we need better communication, more presence from PIF, just to put the fans at ease. And we're year 3 now into our initial 5-year plan. So those things that you're talking about, AC, the potential renovation of the stadium, upgrades. For me, the training ground, I know we renovated the training ground, it's 10 million quid. Leicester, who were in the Championship, had £100 million training ground. I think Brighton's was 30 or 40 mil. So, really we need
We're
slightly
still
better
behind.
facilities. Yeah. And again, going back to the beginning of the show, well, the clearest slam dunks for me was sponsoring the training kit, and sponsoring the training ground, even if it's temporarily. So it feels like there's not that sort of creativity from the board at the moment. There's not enough cunning there, in terms of how they conduct business. So I would like to see a bit more of PIF being involved. They're a bit too quiet for me at the moment.
Start with the communication thing, right? So I agree, it would be good if we, had a bit more communication. But part of me thinks that Amanda and Co kind of made a rod for their own back when they came in. They maybe they communicated with us too much, right? So now we're expecting, regular communication, already updates. When all right, you spoke about Man City, but most other clubs, I don't think they see much communication between the board or the owners and the fans. So I know we want to be seen different, and also we're following the Man City blueprint, but I'm all about action. The communication is fine, but the fact that there's been little action is what bothers me. So there's rumors of different sponsorship deals coming through the pipeline. So, and maybe the Premier League deliberately delayed a few, whatever, that affected our PSR, whatever, and we'll soon find out some other ones like that. But you mentioned the upgrade of the training ground. I think we need to know what's going on there, because I think they've got an area that they're looking to develop into a training facility, a state-of-the-art training facility. But in terms of the PIF, I don't think we're in danger of losing them. I think they will be asking serious questions of Mandy and Cole and Eddie Howe. I think this is a big season for Eddie Howe, right? We'll get to that in a bit, but like you said, AC, the fact that they're looking to develop the area of Newcastle, and I also think we're not privy to the conversations, but I think there's so much political connections that they have with our government in terms of what we've promised to invest. Because remember, the whole takeover, Boris Johnson got involved to make sure it went through. Yeah, so they've obviously had conversations with what they will do for us. You know, scratch your back, we'll scratch up. You know, we'll scratch yours, whatever. I think there's a bit of that. So I don't think this country can afford to lose that Saudi investment at this particular time. So they'll do
That's a good
everything they
point.
can to keep it there, and the Saudis know that. So I don't think there's any danger. I just think they didn't expect this amount of red tape to push in Newcastle forward, especially the third party ownership and stuff like that. I think that's a big thing. So we know the court case with Man City and stuff like that. That could have a big influence on things. But do you have faith in the immediate board? I'm talking Mandy, Mirdad, and the Reuben brothers, that they actually know what they're doing? Because the PSR situation has raised serious questions. Do you said about their continued trust in Eddie Howe? Do you think they know what they're doing, or they're still kind of winging it because they are inexperienced in this particular field? But like you said, it's been year 3 now. Have you got trust that they know what they're doing and they're the best people for the job?
I do worry that a little bit, only because Amanda has said it before in the past, like referencing about Eddie Howe, just like, oh, it's my favorite one and stuff like that. I know it's a little niggly comment. I know it's a minor thing. You know, I'm a man who pays attention to the details, and I worry that sometimes, obviously they all want to be friends. They all want to be like get along with each other. They all got to like rub shoulders with each other and push the club ahead. But at the same time, business is business. There's no room for sentimental, and I feel like the friendship and maybe a bit too cozy for my likeness with Eddie Howe and such. And this is going to be a big season ahead. And let's say if Eddie Howe can't deliver on the front of the objectives, because it will be interesting to know what are the objectives for this season. This season's going to tell us everything we need to know, really, I feel like. And if we see at the end that it's quite evidence of the coziness and the sentimentals there, it's just like, no, we still believe in you, Eddie. Like, I know you didn't get us to Europe again. We still believe in you. Nah. Got to put your foot down, right? But it's an interesting one. It is their first time trying to manage a football club in that sense. But I do feel like it is like Newcastle United versus the state, and the state being the Premier League. Like you said, they don't like us. They don't like us. A lot of clubs don't like us. We got Jim Ratcliffe at Man United saying all he wants about us and little jabs here and there. We can get to a little bit of a news story as well about the recent thing about we finally freed Ashworth off our books as well, but for an undisclosed fee. But you know how it is on Twitter, and that people already figured out, or there's numbers flying around how much it was for, even though some Man United fans think it's 2.78 mil.
You know where that started, innit? You know where that started? That started with Toon polls, bro. They just said Man United paid 2.76 million for every foot of Dan Ashworth's height. Yeah. And they just took it as they paid 2.276 million, and they ran with it. And journalists picked it up, big Man United pages picked it up, like this nonsense. You think we're gonna haggle for that long for 2.76 million? You're taking liberties, mate. You're taking liberties. But
Yeah,
we might as well roll it into one then, Jefferson. Like the whole thing with PIF and Dan Ashworth. What's your thoughts on and sorry, Mirdad and Cole? Like, do they know what they're doing? Ashworth situation.
Well, I think actually out of all of them, the one that has experience is the Reuben brothers, because I think they were on the board at QPR under Tony Fernandez when it all went tits up.
Sounds promising.
But I think they're winging it. They're trying to find their way. And it feels like Eddie's trying to find his way as well. This is new heights for everybody. But you don't get the sense that there's that ruthless business side there. You know, obviously Mandy has an attachment to Newcastle because of family and stuff like that and her
Yeah.
history. Um, and obviously, I think there's that whole thing of they want to be the opposite of the previous regime. You know, so there's been a lot of effort going into sort of that relationship building, but unfortunately, right now, and we've discussed this off of here, is we're at a time. I think Alex was talking about it on the True Faith. That guy's talking so much sense right now that there's not time. Time waits for no one, and we've already seen it. If you go back a season when we finished fourth, everyone was like, "We're gonna be the team to break into the top four." Blah blah blah. Before Leicester got relegated, it was them. So we took their spot. Now Villa have usurped us right now. So it's like, okay, what signings can we make to close that gap to really attack that top six and that top four? And I think the key to that is the manager as well, because if you look at Villa, the intent was there the minute they got Emery. And I know people don't want to hear this, but it's facts. You get an elite coaching that changes everything. So there's no room for sentiment here. And I go back to what I said a couple of episodes ago. We've got to give Eddie those first 8 to 10 games. If it's very much rinse and repeat of last season, the board have to show that boldness and ambition and say, right, this is where we're going. But the first thing they need to do is get that director of football in ASAP. So we want to see ambition, boldness, and intent because we're getting left behind, guys. That's
Indeed.
how it feels right now. So when you're looking at the signings of Ruddy, Odysseas, Kelly's a so-so signing, being linked to Trafford, you know, there's nothing to fill us with sort of inspiration or that indicates we've got that ambition to improve on how we finished last season. Um, so I'm slightly concerned, and this is what I'm saying. I would like the PIF side to have a little bit more involvement if they're not at the
Mm.
moment.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you said it. You made a good point. Like with Eddie Howe, it is make or break for him. Let's be honest. Like, there's no getting away for it. That he's got no excuses now. Yeah. So you mentioned the signings that we started to make. He's gonna make more signings, and this is effectively his squad now. Yeah, because he would have got rid of the deadwood from the previous regime, and he's kept who he wanted to keep.
Mm-hmm.
So we had last season, we had Champions League football. We had a long, hard season, so the injuries mounted up. Now we ain't got no European football, so there's no excuse. He needs to fix the training regime, yeah, and adapt it so we don't have the same amount of injuries that we had last season, because that's not going to fly. That's not going to fly. So he had enough credit in the bank because he saved it from relegation, got us top four. We expected a little dip. We've had our dip. Now there is absolutely zero excuses. And I'm not having this happy clappy nonsense anymore. Like, now it's time to deliver. Yeah. Top four or a trophy. If he ain't getting none of those two, we got to show how ruthless
Bye
we can
bye.
be now. You know what I mean?
Mm.
No more Mr. Nice Guy. And like you said, we've got to. If someone, we need a director of football. We've got rid of Ashworth. Don't know how much for. Yeah, but he's gone. Yeah.
12
Now,
million. 12 million. Damn.
the whole PSR situation should show us that someone needs to come in with authority, who knows what they're doing, and make sure this doesn't happen again, and we continue to improve on our squad. Yeah, and not leave everything to Eddie Howe, because if it's left to Eddie Howe, it's just pure English athletes we're going to be signing. Yeah, and that's not what we need at this present time.
And
Yeah,
his nephew in
and
recruiting a
and his
senior
nephew
recruitment position.
and his nephew. But yeah, and at the top with the board, they got to show that, convince us again that actually know what they're doing, because we all fell in love with them when they came in and saved us. Everything was
Mm.
rosy, but now it seems like, hold on, I'm getting to the nitty gritty. Do you actually know what you're doing? Because the PSR thing situation again has left a bad taste in our mouths. So they've got a lot of work to do to convince us that they're the right people for the job moving forward, and probably convince PIF as well. Because,
Mhm.
like you said, AC, if things ain't going right, they'll feel no way to cut them. cut them and replace them with someone else. So they're used to success. They're second to nobody. Yeah. So that's what they expect from us as well.
And just to echo about the director of football, it is. I said it before to you guys offline. I think we've mentioned in previous episodes. Is that it's so important, and I'm really hoping that now Ashworth is gone, they're going to start kicking that next ball on to like get the next DOF to come in, because there's one guy, right? One guy that I thought like this will be a good one. I know it was a rumor a few months ago and it was circulating a little bit. I don't know how truthful it is. You know how these things go on social media. But this guy right here, right? If they were able to get Maldini in as a director of football, it will change the future landscape like nobody's business. But even if you get someone along the lines of someone like Maldini with that future vision, because this person here, it's not just about thinking about the senior team and such. You know, this guy will think about the youth system. He will make sure like in 10 years' time you're set up, like, you know, and it's going to be an engine that runs itself. Because that's the position we need to get to. I've seen today we signed some more youth players for the academy, which is good. I don't know how good they are, but it's good to see that we're investing and we're doing that. But this is what the director of football is about. It's about getting this oiled machine running well, and you know, it's sufficient for the miles per gallon, right? I'm talking about that super unleaded, premium unleaded for the fast cars, right? I want my machine oiled well and I run it well. You know, I don't want no diesel. I want a super unleaded premium edition F1 racing. This is what we need. And I feel like if we end up this summer of transfers, the transfer window, and we don't actually assign a new DOF, the director of football coming in, I'm almost thinking like forget the summer window, because what's going to happen is my prediction is that we might get some players that could excite. I'm not too sure at the moment. I think, to be honest, with the latest with like John Ruddy and that,
let's stop mentioning that brother's name, please.
Right, it doesn't. I don't feel confident. I don't feel confident. I have to say it out loud. I don't feel confident.
I think you said we most people share similar thoughts, but it's still early in the window. We have to just assess it at the end, which we will do.
I'll be waiting. Yeah, I'll be waiting. When it's deadline day, and there's no DOF, and everyone's on Twitter. Oh, why have we got this? I'm gonna be like, look, this is what we should be doing. I told you.
Okay. Well, I think that's a good place to leave it. We could rant for ages now, but we'll leave it there. Thank you all for listening and for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Catch our previous episodes as well. Follow us on the socials on X, formerly Twitter, at 90smags1990. That's 90smags1990. And we will see you next time. Peace.
We out here.